Hello, and welcome to our virtual open day and the College of Science roundtable discussion. My name is Professor Libby John, and I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science. I hope you're enjoying your day so far and have found out lots about the University of Lincoln and what a great place it is. During this session, I'm going to introduce you to some of my colleagues from the College of Science to help you find out all you need to know about studying our science programmes here at the University of Lincoln. As a college, we offer a wide range of exciting, research-informed and industry-relevant undergraduate programmes in subjects including chemistry, computer science, engineering, geography, life sciences, mathematics, medicine, pharmacy and physics. Choosing to study at the University of Lincoln would mean learning from staff who are working at the forefront of new discoveries and are some of the best teachers in their field. In addition, you'll be provided with innovative spaces for study and research, and as a science student, you'll have access to our specialist facilities across our campuses, including the Joseph Banks laboratories and the Isaac Newton building on our main Brayford Pool campus. Today's roundtable discussion will include staff from our School of Chemistry, Life Sciences, Maths and Physics and Geography to tell you about their programmes and why you should choose to study at Lincoln. We have another roundtable discussion covering the other subjects, so please check the schedule if you're interested in one of those. Colleagues from our Science Foundation Year team will also be in these discussions to tell you about alternative routes of entry for students who don't meet our standard entry requirements. I really hope you'll find this discussion useful, and you can participate by asking your questions in the comments section of the video. And we also have staff and current students available in Unibuddy to answer any specific questions you might have. So please go there if you want to. You can find our schedule on our virtual open day website, which lists when you can find out about the specific subjects. But first of all, I'm going to introduce colleagues from the School of Chemistry. We are incredibly proud of chemistry at Lincoln, as they recently ranked third overall in the Guardian University Guide for 2021. The school offers a research-driven environment to develop new chemical innovation and chemists for the future. They have strong partnerships with regional and national chemical science companies and organisations to ensure that the curriculum is current and relevant, along with providing educational opportunities for students to engage with employers. In the coming session, you'll hear from different members of academic staff who are here to tell you more about studying with the School of Chemistry at Lincoln. Unfortunately, because we're running a virtual open day today, I can't show you their absolutely fabulous laboratories in the Joseph Banks Laboratories building. They are state of the art, and I hope in due course we'll get an opportunity to show them to you and share a bit more about studying chemistry at Lincoln. Now, in a second, we're going to go over to talk to the team who are waiting for us. And here they come. Hi there. Hi, Ian, Tasnim, Hilary and Ellie. Welcome to our roundtable discussion. Great to see you all here. Can you just briefly introduce yourselves to our audience and tell us a bit about your role at the university?
So shall I go first? So I'm Ian Scown. I'm head of School of Chemistry, and I've been involved in research in a number of different spheres, particularly working with industry as well.
Thanks, Ian. Tasnim.
I'm Tasnim. I'm the program leader for the chemistry courses, which includes forensic chemistry as well. But I'm also the admissions tutor, so I look after the whole admissions process in the school for all the different programs that we run.
Great, thanks, Tasnim. Hilary.
Hi, I'm Hilary Hamlet. I'm a senior lecturer in forensic science in the School of Chemistry, and I'm a toxicologist by training. I'm also the director of teaching and learning for the school.
Thank you. And Ellie.
Hi there, I'm Ellie, Director of Teaching and Learning for the Science Foundation Year that runs the Year Zero variants for the programmes in the School of Chemistry.
Great, thank you all for being here and welcome. Let's have a little chat about chemistry at Lincoln and forensic science. First of all, can you tell us what students might expect from studying chemistry or forensic science and what's special about studying them at Lincoln?
So I'll start off, Libby. So I think for us, and I think you mentioned this in your introductory talk, student experience is really very important to us, and that students have a very supportive learning atmosphere here at Lincoln, and that we try and make that transition from university to university much easier. We place a very big emphasis on developing important skills that are really important for future employability. For example, team working, and especially in the early years, development of study groups, because we understand that moving to university is a big step. And, you know, I struggled, and I know a number of other students do struggle. So to make that transition is really important. We're really strongly also committed to the development of students as individuals and spend considerable time with students individually, and that we can help them make choices about what employment prospects and other opportunities such as placements, summer placements, etc., and that we support them in their future career development as well. So I'll pass that over to Hilary.
Yeah, so just building on what Tasman was saying, so we've also got a big commitment to equality of opportunity in the school. And if you are able to come and visit us, and we do hope you can visit us soon, you'll be able to see our nice Athena Swan Award that we got recognised with last year. And we've got a longer term equality and diversity plan that we do, excuse me, with our students. So we've got students on our team, including our school rep. We've also got a strong international team of academics who use their experiences overseas to enhance their teaching and also provide US students with international opportunities.
So within this context, we try to build a really dynamic community, but the student group is a very important integrated part of the team, and it's led us to considerable success since we opened the school in 2014.
So I think, as Libby said in her introductory talk again, that we've just got our league table positions, and it's really nice to see that we enjoy really strong rankings for both of our subject strands, and that chemistry was ranked number 3 in the Guardian League tables, but more importantly, as I said earlier, student experience, teaching quality were also number 1 in the Guardian League tables, but also in the New Times league tables, we're number 1 for graduate prospects. So it's really important that our students feel that, you know, they have employability is key to whatever we do.
I mean, reflecting that, you'll probably have heard a lot of things that the University of Lincoln itself was the Modern University of the Year with the Times and Sunday Times, and importantly also was recognised in the last Teaching Excellence Framework exercise with a gold standard for the whole university.
So our forensic science programs, we have a really strong ranking for our graduate prospects. So that's what you go on to do when you finish studying with us. And we're currently in the top 5 in the Complete University Guide and the Times Good University Guide in the category of forensic and archaeological science.
And then in terms of teaching, we've got excellent facilities. So we've invested quite heavily into our infrastructure, and we invested about 27 million into our research facilities, but also these are fully integrated into the undergraduate curriculum. And we think it's really important that students have hands-on access to all of this equipment, and, you know, they use it, and it really enhances their CVs.
So central philosophy in the school is that covers both our research activities and our teaching activities is the development of fundamental science informed by our research, but importantly how we then apply that science in the context of professional careers. And that led us from development of specific programs targeted in the forensic area, our forensic science and forensic chemistry programs, and to some of our themed programs in chemistry where you can follow an MChem or BSc in programs such as chemistry for drug discovery, chemistry for education, chemistry with mathematics. Having said that, there are also great opportunities to explore future careers with our more generic programs in chemistry, and you'll have an opportunity to find out how and where you may want to specialize in chemistry or forensic science as you develop through the program. Libby, I think that mirrors some of the research activities in our work at the interface between chemistry and materials, chemistry and biology, and importantly, we have a lot of underpinning research effort in developing new analytical methods and applying those into specific areas, which has informed a lot of the industry engagement that we have through our R&D programs in the school.
Well, thank you all. That sounds, I mean, it helps to explain why you're number 3 in that Guardian League table, because you really do look after your students and you embed them in such a fabulous matrix of various activities. Really good to hear from you all. Can you tell me now a bit about what students will achieve personally from studying a chemistry or forensic science degree, and a bit about their career prospects?
Yeah, Libby, I'll talk to you initially about the career prospects. So as we mentioned earlier, our graduate prospects are extremely strong. And, most students who study chemistry and forensic science probably are not really sure about what career pathway that they really want to go into. But they've chosen the subject area because they really enjoy the subject. Our students have been very successful and they've gone on to work for major graduate schemes, for example, AstraZeneca, GSK, Jaguar Land Rover, the defense area, Atomic Weapons Agency, LG Forensics, amongst many others. And I'll pass you over to Hilary, who'll talk about some of the professional practice in forensic science.
Yeah, so we know that not everyone who does our forensic science degree necessarily wants to work in the lab. And so one of the things that really sets us apart is we have big focus on professional practice as a forensic scientist, and also why quality is so important. And because of that, it means that our graduates can work in really important policy roles. So we've got someone who works with the forensic science regulator at the moment, and another graduate who looks into miscarriages of justice with the Criminal Cases Review Commission.
And obviously we understand that some students will like to pursue their academic careers. So a number of our students will go on to master's programs, and especially postgraduate studies with PhDs, and they go on work with major UK and international universities. So students, I think from our degree programs, we learn the fundamentals of science and how that's applied in a professional context.
And like Tasnim was saying, that professional context is so important, and particularly for our forensic scientists. And we achieve that by having specialist academics, people who do research in the areas, but also professional practitioners, so people who are using this science every day in their role. And we've got a part-time lecturer who's also part-time crime scene manager with West Yorkshire Police. And that's a really good way of our students seeing what's happening in crime scenes every day. She also has some really good stories to tell you all during her lecture.
Some gory stories as well. So in our chemistry programs, as Hilary emphasized, the professional practice is really important, because a number of students, we want to expose students to a number of different sectors, for example, the pharmaceutical, forensics, the environmental, etc. And our students work with industry to problem solve and also deliver to industry. So some of the things that they're delivering will be the types of things that students will need to do for interviews for graduate jobs.
Brilliant. So you really set your students up well for careers in either chemistry, industry, or forensic science. I think that's fabulous, and really important, of course, that students can be confident they're being prepared for a future career. Can you tell us a bit now about what's really unique about studying chemistry or forensic science at Lincoln specifically? The kinds of facilities, field trips, those sorts of things that are available for students.
Sure. We'll touch back onto professional practice and how we structure that into each of our programs, because it's such an important part of developing the next generation of professionals in each of our subjects. So both of our key subject strands have from year one all the way through to the end of the program, a strand around professional practice, developing skills, and importantly, translating fundamental science concepts into their application. In areas across the program, we develop interactions with employers and integrate employer input into the programs. Example is the industry challenges that we set our students in specific sectors throughout the chemistry programs. And when we come to the end of our programs, there's transition into master's level directly in our forensic science programs to our MSc suite of programs, allowing students to specialize there. With our chemistry programs, we have an integrated master's year, and our MChem is a very unusual program in that respect, in that the students do placements within their 4th year. And what that allows them then to do is to develop that experience either through industry placement, the majority of which, you are engaged as an employee with the company and working with us throughout that year, setting yourself up for seamless movement into employment. You can also flexibly choose pathways developing your research with the research groups at Lincoln. And we've got a range of international collaborations, as Hilary mentioned a little while ago, where numbers of our students are able to pursue an international program as part of their MChem year, working with our partners in that sort of space. So pieces around forensic science field trips and things like that, maybe Hilary?
Yeah, so we have international opportunities in our forensic science program, and that's something that makes us really unique. So we run field trips for our forensic science students overseas, and these are part of the program and they are assessed. Obviously, they will depend on government guidance at the time because they involve overseas travel. But we've got 3 options depending on what you're interested in, what's really sort of captured your interest already in the program. So we have a forensic entomology theme program, which is new. So that's a trip to Texas A&M University. So entomology, that's to do with bugs. We've also got an established trip to Guatemala, which is all about forensic anthropology, so human remains. And then a trip to New York, which I did last year, which focuses on forensic toxicology and the opioid crisis in the US. So these are a really great way of broadening horizons, give you a bit more insight into these really specialist topics, see if it's something you might want to do future as a career, but also to see how forensics is different in different parts of the world. So things are not done in the same way in every country. So that's a good thing for you to see. We recognise that not everybody can or wants to go overseas. So there is an option to stay in the UK, and that's a very creative module that you can do, which is focused on helping the public to understand forensic science.
So having your subjects and an awareness of where they fit into the national and international picture obviously positions you with a good understanding of all the options and enhances your employability in that sort of way.
So as well as the teacher practitioner that I mentioned earlier, who works with West Yorkshire Police, we also have specialist active professionals who come in and help teach in other areas of our forensic program, and they're a really good resource for you to have a chat to, see what their day-to-day careers are actually like. So we have someone who comes in to help us investigate fire scenes, someone who helps us with our document examination, DNA specialists, people who work in quality control, and then finally in the 3rd year is the big presentation of evidence in court that all of our students have to do.
So we contextualise a lot of this learning within our research facilities as well. There's been major investment across the university as we've grown our STEM subjects, and I'm sure Libby will talk about the numbers there. But importantly for us, it isn't a compartmentalized process. Our research facilities provide us with a training base, so you become familiar with instrumentation. And our goal there is to enable you to use that, establish a toolkit so that you can use those tools as you develop solutions to problems. And problem solving is a very important part of graduate progression, and our facilities are set up to help you do that. So just a bit about accreditation and maybe how they reflect some of our strategies here. Hilary, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so our programs are accredited, and Tasnim will talk about the chemistry one in a second. But the forensic program is accredited by the main body for professionals in the UK. That's the Chartered Society of Forensic Sciences. And the last time they looked at our program, they commended us for some of the things that we do that make Lincoln really unique. So the structure of our curriculum, the way we do both the fundamental and the applied science, and have that practitioner input that I talked about earlier, not just in crime scenes, but in other areas. So they were also impressed with the way we use research in our curriculum. So we've got staff who are doing research in the area, and we've also got staff like myself who are still doing casework, and that's something that we incorporate into all of the program. And also the way we teach. So if you come to Lincoln, it's not just about sitting in a big lecture theatre listening to us. We also do workshops, practicals. We have one-to-one tuition, and as I said, we have this support from external staff coming in, and Tasnim could talk about the chemistry programs now.
So as Hilary said, all programs in chemistry, including forensic chemistry, are accredited by the Royal Society of Chemistry. And it was really nice to see when they came and they give us the report that some of the things that we were doing that were different, they really liked. So they really liked the integrated modular approach. They thought that was fantastic. They really liked that our students worked with industry. And the nice thing is that they also felt that the students were very engaged with the school and the different programs, and the infrastructure was good, and that students had access to it, but also that we really listened to the students. So we developed the program with students in mind, but also if, we changed as well. We changed our programs when the students commented on as things changed in the external environment.
That all sounds absolutely fabulous. I must admit, I'm pretty jealous. I'd love to go on some of those field trips, Hilary, as long as the government are letting us run them. And that accessibility of students to the latest equipment in the Joseph Banks laboratories really gives them this hands-on opportunities to get going and get enthusiastic about chemistry. So that all sounded absolutely fabulous. Thank you. I think now we need to talk about that student journey, don't we? So this doesn't all happen at once. It all sounds a bit overwhelming, actually. There's so much stuff happening. So let's think about the student journey from when they arrive at year one all the way through to year 3 or 4, and how you stage that along the way, and what skills and experience they'll gain.
Yeah, so I'll talk about forensic science, and then Tasnim will tell us more about chemistry. But in forensic science, we have 4 strands that run all the way through the 3 years. So we have our biological sciences, so that's things like your DNA. We have our analytical sciences, which is where we do much of our chemistry, our crime scenes, and then the professional practice that we have mentioned already. So each stage of it will build towards understanding how these are applied in later years. So we tend to focus on the more fundamental science earlier on, and then by the time you get to the 3rd year, you're really getting to apply it to lots of different cases and different scenarios. And the field trips that I talk about, they also cover these 4 strands. And these 4 strands was something that the Charter Society commended us on when they did our most recent accreditation. And the important thing to realise is that because our curriculum is quite broad, it doesn't just mean that you'll only be able to go to crime scenes. So it's not about preparing people for just one type of forensic career. You have lots of choice when you're finished. And also, if you think, actually, I'd quite like to go into a different industry, we do have forensic scientists who then go and work in different types of industry. So you're not going to be stuck becoming a forensic scientist if after 3 years you think, actually, maybe I want to do something else instead.
So as Hilary said, chemistry is very similar, so we prepare students for a number of different jobs out there. So again, we run on 4 different strands, and we call it the building up principle. So we build students up throughout their degree program. So core chemistry is obviously the chemistry aspect, the extension studies, which, and then practical chemistry. Obviously, chemistry is a very practical subject, and we have students have at least a day a week in the lab. And then professional practice, as I mentioned earlier, is probably where students get exposed to a number of different industries and career options. So, for example, analytical, formulation science, the pharmaceutical industry, energy and environment, and where students will work very closely with industry in those particular areas. And then obviously in chemistry, we have a number of different strands. So chemistry with drug discovery and development, chemistry with education, where students, we think at that stage, probably know which area they want to go into. And we work closely with the different schools. So for the forensic chemistry, students will do all the modules in forensic science, etc. But we also recognize that students will want some flexibility. So, students may not have chosen the MChem. There will be flexibility to move within programs, but also on the different pathways as well.
Thank you. It sounds all very well thought out and paced for the students. And that's what I've heard from students too. Let's go back to that very first year, though, when students first arrive, when students are transitioning from A-level up to degree level. What can they expect at that point?
I think the crucial thing is at that stage, Libby, that we're building confidence with students at an individual level, both confidence in the laboratory. They may not have an awful amount of exposure in that environment, confidence with the instrumentation, but also confidence in their study and how they can develop relationships with their new friends at university. And we actively encourage them to form study groups through some of the exercises in the early stage professional practice programs, starting off those ideas around group work, teamwork, communication that actually underpin that whole strand. We support them formally with a personal tutoring system and timetabled personal tutor sessions throughout that first year, so there's a point of contact in the school. In addition to that, we have year tutors at each stage of our programs that support the students through that particular year, and if you like, hand that group over to their colleagues as they progress up through. As well as that, of course, we do provide students with a whole range of learning resources and equipment to get them ready for study. For example, the 3 main textbooks in chemistry that work throughout the degree program are provided. Specialist learning resources, book packs, e-learning resources, for example, are also invested in for our forensic science students. The laboratory PPE and everything that you will need to be working safely in the laboratory is provided. And of course, part of the professional environment that we work in is a development of an understanding of the health and safety requirements for the laboratory work that they do. There's a little piece about understanding people's different backgrounds, and obviously as an individual we do want to individualize that experience for you and make sure that you've got all of the tools at your hand. And Hilary will talk a little bit about maybe the forensic science side in that.
Yeah, so as Ian was saying, that individual background is really important, and in forensic science we have lots of experience of working with students from really diverse entry backgrounds. So we don't just have students coming in from A-levels, we have students coming in from BTECs, and also we have mature students, so people who come in from the workplace to do a degree. And we recognise that all of those things really bring strength, particularly when it comes to things like group work.
Similarly, with chemistry, a number of our students do come in with A-levels, but I know it's very different depending on which exam body you use. You'll have very different material. So again, we encourage a lot of peer support, and we, for example, in our maths side of chemistry in year 1, we have students who have got GCSE maths, but some who have got maths, some who A-levels, some who have got further maths. But we will tailor that learning to a particular student. So, we will tailor it at their pace. And again, we encourage a lot of peer-to-peer working as well. And there's lots of support here. We will sit with you as academics individually if you need that support.
Thank you. So a lot of the people watching now will be at the very start of their university journey. They'll be thinking about how they apply to university and that whole journey from putting that application in, which we're very excited to receive those from you always, to when they land at Lincoln. Can you tell us a bit about that journey and how we support students through that journey? And how we incorporate the Science Foundation year in to ensure we've got something for everyone there.
So if I talk just briefly in in broad terms here before we dive into some specifics. Yeah, the admissions journey really is the first stage of our developing our relationship with you, and we pride ourselves on working with you as individuals. We spend time with your UCAS forms and, of course, your personal statements to understand what you would like to get from a university career. And we stage our interaction with you across that, from the more generic open day information here, but diving down into your individual circumstances, ensuring you've got a full awareness of the options that are available to you and the different programs. And Tasnim does an awful lot of work with people at that individual level, and I believe we'll be in contact with people who've registered here via email so that we can start that journey. There's obviously a number of different stages to this, but what's important, I think, when we come to looking at people's A-levels, the applicants that have come in, that we have some alternative offers. We do believe that people who apply to us through the main scheme are so much better prepared for study at Lincoln. So we do offer some flexibility if people don't quite match the standard offers to enable them to have routes through. So, for example, our MChem, we may offer some people an alternative route via the BSc to return back to that area. And I'm sure Ellie will talk a little bit more about how the Science Foundation year can help people support them through onto direct entry to year one following a consolidation of their learning.
Absolutely, yeah, thanks, Ian. So the Science Foundation curriculum is bespoke to Lincoln and has been co-written with academics from the School of Chemistry. We offer a range of modules alongside chemistry. Students can broaden their experience, so they can broaden their skill base with biology or physics modules, as well as taking maths modules that have been specifically designed to equip science students with the mathematical and digital skills that will help them to succeed in year one and beyond. Developing students' academics toolkits, we think, is vital to their progress in HE. So all year zero students take a study skills module, and that helps them to develop their presentation skills, scientific writing, critical analysis, referencing, revision, exam skills. And we promote self-reflection as well in our students so that they're encouraged to take ownership of their progress and become self-directed, resilient, independent learners ready to thrive in year one and beyond in the School of Chemistry.
Thanks, Ellie. Of course, we must mention that Ellie's rather modest and didn't mention that she's part of a team that won a national award for the teaching they do of our foundation students here at Lincoln. So we're very proud of them. Can you tell us a bit more? Are foundation year students taught on campus? Do they get to use the same laboratories? How does it feel if you're a student here?
So Science Foundation year students are just like any other University of Lincoln student, full access to university accommodation, sports facilities and teams, the student union and wellbeing support teams. And of course, they're taught in the same high-tech laboratories for their practical sessions that are used for the rest of the School of Chemistry. So the Science Foundation year core team have teaching qualifications that span educational sectors. So we're qualified in further, secondary and higher education, extensive knowledge of delivering outstanding A-level science and maths curriculum, but also first-hand experience of conducting science and mathematical research. So we feel that we're really well placed to support students in that journey from their A-levels right through to graduation, because we know that journey really well. And in addition to that core teaching team, a leading academic from the School of Chemistry, so Hilary here sitting with us, acts as link tutor throughout the foundation year and coordinates a specialist transition module. So this will be taught by the School of Chemistry academics and helps to build those key relationships in the run-up to starting year one, as well as arming students with the skills that those academics know from first-hand experience will set them in good stead for year one. And we know that integrated approach works well because students who've completed the year zero continue to thrive in later years in their degree.
Yeah, they do. They make great students and achieve really well. We're nearly out of time for our chemistry team, but one last question, perhaps the most important to some of our listeners. How are there any social elements to the School of Chemistry that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, we have lots of social things going on. So I'll just start by telling you about our student society. So we've got 2 student societies that are run by the students, and they're for you as students. So we've got an active forensic science society and also a chemistry society.
So we've got a very active social, and I think as a school we're very, very sociable. So we organise, our students organise with staff a number of quiz evenings, social gatherings. They normally have a ball at the end, but a number of student sports events as well.
I understand students also do an awful lot of together with themes Facebook pages and things that are well beyond my understanding, such as Instagram and a whole lively social media environment where not only can they share information about what they're doing on their programs, but also those informal social gatherings, working together as alongside socializing. So out of my depth there, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so and then we have a number of international students and staff. So we celebrate a number of festivals with sort of bring a dish events as well. But I think most importantly, we want our students to have a really supportive learning community, and that students for the school, the student experience is really important, and that the students feel very comfortable. And we know that if they're happy, they'll thrive in their studies and their future.
Absolutely, and I think that's crucial. And as I mentioned before, the students we see as very much part of the team, and we enjoy working with them, not only in the working week, but also supporting their whole experience. And they can teach us a few things as well in terms of some of these modern developments that we try and keep in touch with.
Okay, so thank you. That's all we've got time for from the Chemistry and Forensic Science team. So thank you so much to Ian, Tasnim, Hilary and Ellie and helping us understand. I mean, I think your enthusiasm really comes across I hope our listeners, watchers got a sense of what an exciting place it is to study in your school. I hope the conversation has answered some of our listeners' questions, but I'm sure you've got more questions for the chemistry team. So if you do have more questions, please head over to Unibuddy to talk directly to colleagues and students who'll be waiting, and you can find the link there in the comments section of this video. So thank you ever so much, and I'll see you all sometime soon, I hope. Meanwhile, we'll be moving on in this live stream to another school in a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual open day and the College of Science roundtable discussion. My name's Professor Libby John, and I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science. I hope you're really enjoying your virtual open days so far and have found out loads of useful information about the University of Lincoln. If you're waiting to hear about a particular programme or subject, you can find the schedule of this roundtable discussion on our virtual open day website. But to start with, I'm going to introduce the School of Life Sciences. This is a school which is highly interdisciplinary. It provides a very exciting and stimulating environment for students. It offers 7 different programs, including animal behaviour and welfare, biochemistry, biology, biomedical science, bioveterinary science, ecology and conservation, and zoology. As a school, their reputation is growing for a fabulous and very well received undergraduate teaching and lots of exciting world-class research. They work from the brand new 2014 built Joseph Banks Laboratories and the adjacent Minster House. In this session, you'll hear from different members of academic staff who are here to tell you all about those programs and some of the excitement of working in the School of Life Sciences at the University of Lincoln. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
How are you all doing? Ready to talk to our guests about the exciting world of life sciences?
Absolutely.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves in a minute. It's really lovely to see you all here. And what I'd like you to do is just quickly say who you are and what your role is at the university. And perhaps we could start with you, Anna. You've been very polite. You're actually Professor Wilkinson. You're very modest. But can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Libby. So my name's Anna Wilkinson, and I'm a Professor of Animal Cognition in Life Sciences. And I'm really interested in how animals see the world. So I'm interested in how they learn information, how they retain it, and then how they use it when they're making decisions. And I teach on a variety of modules within the Life Sciences programs. And I'm very much looking forward to meeting you should you come to Lincoln.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anna. Matt, please could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Libby. Hi, my name is Matt Simmons. I'm Programme Lead for Biomedical Science here at Lincoln. And also I'm a researcher, so I do lots about looking at how disease occurs, why things happen, how the immune system can turn against our bodies, and then looking at ways of hopefully improving treatments for people.
Brilliant. Thank you. Colin, tell us a bit about yourself and your role.
Hi, so I'm Colin Butter and I lead the Bioveterinary Sciences programme here at Lincoln, and I've got research interests in zoonotic viral diseases, which is a little bit topical at the moment, and parasitic diseases of various animals, including horses and zebra and rhino.
Sounds fascinating. And Ellie, last but certainly not least.
Morning. Oh, just about afternoon, actually. I'm Ellie Davison, and from the Lincoln Science Foundation year. So we have variants of all the life science programs that include a Year Zero foundation year.
Brilliant. Thank you all. And welcome to all of you to this roundtable discussion. So we're going to talk about life sciences at Lincoln, how special it is. And firstly, can you tell us about some of the things that students might expect from studying the different programs within the school and what it's like to study them at Lincoln particularly?
Yeah, so I'll kick off with this one, if that's all right. So I guess the first thing we want to say to you is that it's very much sort of individually focused. So we run an array of degrees, as Libby has said, but the way we teach is very much focused on what you would need as an individual. And you will get great academic support. And so while some of our lectures are large, I think that's actually really good, because what you'll do is you'll meet people who work and are interested in different things, and you can actually benefit from interacting with students who are on different degrees. They have different interests, and that will help you grow as an individual. But also we run a tutorial system so that you get to know your tutor, the academic who's assigned to you, on a very much more personal level as well, so that you don't just see them as a face across a classroom or online. What you do is you see them as an individual, you get to know them, they get to know you. And so that way, if you have any challenges, you have somebody who you can go to, who can help and who can support you. Equally, when you have great successes, they're also really want to know about that as well.
Okay, so it's very personalised. What can students achieve from studying these degrees? And can you tell me about some of their potential career prospects?
Well, if you don't mind, I can happily start with that. So I obviously represent the more biomedical sciences side here. So obviously the first thing is our course is accredited by the Institute of Biomedical Science. So the advantage there is that's one of the key steps if you want to go and work in the NHS as a biomedical scientist. However, we appreciate whilst lots of our students do that, a bit like what Anna was saying as well, that isn't the path that everyone takes. The great thing of doing all these degrees is it really opens you up to so much opportunity and so much potential. And what we try and do is from the start go, okay, let's look at what you find fascinating. Let's looking at with your tutors and with us as program leads going, this is what we think will be the pathway. We'll look at what you want. We'll work out how you get the work experience, how you do different things, how you do placements, how you get to that career you want. And whether that be, for example, from our lot, to become biomedical scientists or go into medicine or go into things like physician's associate or go into a whole host of things in public health, particularly now, teaching lots of wide varieties. But we work with you as an individual to make this experience for you to get absolutely everything out of this and be in the absolute best position to achieve whatever your career goals are.
Yeah, so I'd add a bit to that if I may, Libby. So yes, I completely agree with all that Matt said here, that one of our roles as program leads and also as your tutors is to help you start finding the path you want to take in life. And that's really, really important. But I would say that at Lincoln, we've got a fabulous record of helping you pursue your dreams. And we can really help you along here, not just in making your minds up, but then how you're going to get there. So we've got tremendous success at, for example, students leaving directly to fully funded PhDs. We do that every year. About staying on and doing research degrees here with us or some taught degrees with us. In my own discipline in veterinary medicine, we have students that go on and read clinical veterinary medicine every year at other institutions. So we can really help you achieve your dreams. We have got a fantastic record with this. And as Anna said, we celebrate successes. We love seeing the journey.
Absolutely. And so from the animal behavior side and then maybe the more zoological side, depending on what your interests are, there's also, we try and help students get opportunity and support them with opportunity to volunteer as well, because to work with animals is exceptionally competitive. And so what we try and do is we try and support our students in getting them the opportunity to really make them be able to compete with really the very best. And we have really strong links with lots of different companies. So, for example, we work very closely with the Lincolnshire Wildlife Park, where students get to go and do some practicals as well. And we have really great links with the Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust and other similar sorts of institutions where students will get the opportunity to volunteer and potentially expand their CV in other ways.
So we also do a lot of extracurricular activity that it isn't directly taught, it isn't directly assessed, but can still really, really help with career prospects. And it's fun. So we have volunteering systems in Minster House, which I know that Anna will tell you a bit more about later, our animal facility. But also, for example, we've got the university farm and we run lambing up at the farm every year. So there's a lot of opportunity for students to do hands-on stuff with animals, whereas it isn't credit bearing, is really good in some focuses on jobs and careers.
Absolutely. So to tell you a little bit more about the opportunities in Minster House right now, before we talk about it potentially later. So we do have our own animals. So we are an animal behaviour. We have a strong interest in animal behaviour and welfare. And so we want to keep our animals in the very, very best ways that we can. And students get the opportunity to volunteer and to learn about how to do this. So it can be animal care, but also to help with potentially volunteering with some training of animals and things like that to try and make their experiences the best. So if you take an animal to a vet, you want them to have really positive experience of that. And so how do we train animals to help them cope with these situations they need to go through in the very best ways?
So
go on. Sorry, Matt, go on.
I think also just to follow on from, I appreciate the stuff that Anna and Colin do is amazing in these experiences, but equally for the biomed stuff, I think there are extra bits we can also do, if that makes sense as well. So again, we run a series of optional placements between your, say, second and third year, had a lot of success of sending people into pharmaceutical companies, again, into NHS laboratories, a great way of supercharging your CV. But also looking at, even in the current climate where things are much more difficult to get experience, we've looked at opportunities, how you can volunteer the NHS, how if you want to do teaching, for example, how would you then go about looking at mentoring students online to catch up? Again, if you want to go into medicine, looking at working in things like care homes, looking at getting experience in GP practices. So I think we also have lots of this opportunity. And again, we do things like skills workshops in-house, things like this. So we have lots of potential that you can go with whatever you decide you want to go down your career path. We'll be able to direct you and go, well, if this is where you'd like to go, these are the perfect opportunities for you to go down to get those skill sets, like Colin and Anna said, in different ways, to be able to really put you in the best position.
And we could point you to some fantastic success stories. I mean, we've got students now who are out doing postdocs, doing their own research, and now I'm reading their papers to find out what I should know. So that's fabulous. That's just absolutely amazing. And if you take your animal to a vet in Lincoln, you may very well be interfacing with somebody that started a career here with us. So, you know, there are many, many examples of students that are now out and earning their living in the world, and thanks to their experience at Lincoln. It's great.
Right, thank you, colleagues. I'm really delighted that we're getting some questions, comments from the people watching. So Tyler, Mary and Anusha, thanks for your comments. I'm sure colleagues will want to answer them. There's a couple there about biomedical science, Matt. Tyler says, I'm absolutely set on completing a biomedical science degree. Is there any guidance you can give on choice of which course? And Mary says, can you still do an MBio in biomedical science with a foundation degree?
Okay, so thank you both, Mary and Tyler, for those wonderful questions, and really good. So I'll address yours first, I suppose, Tyler. It's, to be honest, with looking at the way the biomedical science degrees work, is there any guidance on choice, of course? The one key thing, if you definitely want to become sort of a registered biomedical scientist, or you want the potential to do that and work in the NHS, having an accredited course is really key. One of the key things that gets you that into the NHS is you need an accredited degree. So I would say definitely go for somewhere that has that option, and we do have it here and other places, but I would say look for those features. I think as well, it's a little bit like, I appreciate we have courses with the MBio, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, is an integrated sort of master's level extra year at the end, which is really research intensive experience. And I think Mary's touching upon that subject as well. I think they work really well, but actually, if you want to, depending on where you choose to go, sometimes actually, if you want to go straight into the NHS, you might be better going a placement, and we can advise you. We have a placement lead who actually used to be head of the course before me, and is amazing at finding NHS placements, at finding the right thing, and will direct you in the right way. And sort of Mary, you said, can you still do an MBio in medical bioscience with foundation year? Unfortunately, the way the funding works is that you aren't able to do the foundation year and the MBio together, because there's a sort of restriction on that. However, what I would say is loads of opportunities to go and do master's things, loads of opportunities to work with us in different capacities. So please don't think that I think sometimes when people think do a foundation year that you can't go on and do this, it's absolute rubbish. Our foundation year students are flying, absolutely doing amazing things, and so proud, and Ellie and her team have done an amazing job. But I think the key thing is there's so many opportunities, and we can, when you come here, we listen to what you want, not what we think you want, and we'll help you go down that path. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt. And then I think you've also answered Anusha's question about placements. There's lots of support in the school for students who want to get a placement. And you just mentioned we have a dedicated placement officer who's a very experienced academic. So
from a biochemistry point, there's lots of opportunity there as well. Whilst I come from biomed, lots of our biochemistry students, particularly gone to pharmaceutical companies and done incredibly well as well.
So thank you for those questions. They're really helpful to see your questions, and anyone else who has any, we'll bring you in if you want to ask something. But there's always UniBuddy as well if you want to ask a question separately afterwards. Okay, I'm going to go on with my next question now for our colleagues. Can you tell us a little bit about what's unique, what facilities, field trips? Of course, all field trips are subject to government guidance at the moment, but normally we run lots of field trips, don't we? Are unique to the School of Life Sciences and make it a special place.
Okay, so I'll say a little bit about field courses, field trips, which might be odd coming from a laboratory scientist, but for the last 2 years, I've been privileged to lead the field trip out to South Africa. So we have a number of overseas field trips, which acts as one of the modules in third year. You choose them as a third year module, but they all run in the summer between second and third year. And these are extraordinary experiences. So the course I take is to South Africa. So you might think this is all going to be field biology. And of course, we have field biologists and there is field biology. But we also, in the middle of South Africa, in a wooden hut, managed to produce a working laboratory. So we can do some real microbiology. And we've found out some really cool stuff about antimicrobial resistance in animals that have no business to have it out in South Africa. So we do some extraordinary field courses. We run a field course also to the cloud forest in Ecuador, and I'm sure Libby could tell you a little bit more about that. And we have a field course running up to up in northern Scandinavia as well. We have a field course down in the Iberian Peninsula in Portugal. So these are incredible things. And we have a quite extraordinary financial deal for that as well. So the arrangement we have with you is that you have to get yourselves there. That's your responsibility. And then the university takes up the responsibility from there on. And everyone that goes on these things absolutely loves them. So we have these field courses, which are the big overseas field courses in the summer. But also in some modules, there are embedded field courses. So these are much smaller and always in the UK. But there's the opportunity to do field biology, throughout the degree in years 2 and 3, as well as these big field courses. So the field courses are fabulous, and we look forward to taking you on some of those.
Yeah, but thank you, Colin.
You're right. I'll carry on a bit, Libby. So I did say it's a bit odd for a field biologist, for an experimental laboratory biologist to be talking about waxing lyrical about field courses. But I'd also say that in terms of facilities that we have at Lincoln to do science, they are tremendous. So our research laboratory, the Joseph Banks Lab, is second to none. It has enormous, fantastic facilities, huge, wonderful machinery like confocal microscopes and flow cytometers and things like this. So we are really well equipped in the laboratory side, as well as having these wonderful field situations. Sorry, Libby, you're going to tell them about Ecuador.
Well, I was going to suggest that Anna did that, because Anna has also enjoyed going with students and inspiring them on that trip to Ecuador.
Absolutely. So I should tell you that Libby and I originally set up the trip to Ecuador as our first overseas field trip, and it is something we are both very passionate about. So thank you for letting me talk about it. It is absolutely outstanding, in my opinion. So we and the students, we go to a cloud forest for a sort of 8 to 10 days, and we get dropped off at the bottom of a mountain, and we have to walk up to the top, and we actually live amongst nature for that time. And that is living amongst nature in a way that I would say most students will not have experienced previously. So there is very limited electricity there, so we cannot be on our phones, we cannot, and the students get to absorb what it is like to actually be there and live in part of the forest. We run what I think is really exciting research projects. So for the first few days, the students get to explore the forest, they learn about the plants and the animals that live there, and then they get the opportunity to actually do research in that environment. And that can be, as Colin has already said, sort of more laboratory type techniques, or it can be working in the field with the animals. It can be directly studying the behavior of the animals. And of course, me being biased towards cognition, we do lots of work looking at sort of how hummingbirds think, how they understand what other hummingbirds are doing. And it is just so exciting. And I think it is a really, really great thing to prepare students for their dissertations, which they'll be doing in third year. It gives them experience of working on a research project with access to staff all the time. And I think it is something that they really come into their own during the field trips. And it's something that I would absolutely recommend you doing if it is something that interests you.
Oh, yeah. And you get to learn to think on your feet.
Biomedical science students really enjoy the field trips.
I was
not just for the animal scientists. Sorry, over to you, Matt.
No, I was going to just add that, and I think everyone thinks, oh, field courses are such an ecology, biology thing, but we have an optional module where you can go on these field courses. And I think initially some of our biomeds are like, oh, the field and going outside, and they adore it, love it. And it gives them an opportunity to do something that's a flair to this, but in a completely different environment. And they come back and really not only appreciate that, but also gives them those skills. Also, just to sort of add, I think as well, what I think is unique from a more biochemistry, biomed side is we also, as Colin mentioned, not only do we have this amazing research equipment, but we have lots like clinical analyzers. We have lots of things that are effectively industry spec of that machinery and that experience. We've also created labs that are completely, well, we believe, to the best of our knowledge, completely unique to Lincoln around cancer. We have labs that absolutely mirror exactly how you do antibody testing to do blood matching in the NHS. So we've done a lot that really mimic exactly what you would do in the field, exactly what you do when you're going to work. And this really helps supercharge our student CVs.
That's brilliant. Thank you all. I think I just need to say, of course, that any specific field trip would depend on our ability to run it, would depend on what's going on in that particular year. So we can't guarantee any particular destination, although field trips are, as long as the government allows, certainly part of our programme. I want to go back to think about how a student progresses in life sciences at the University of Lincoln. So can you talk us through a student journey from year 1 to year 3 or 4? What can students expect to learn? How are the programmes organised? What kind of skills and experience come in during their programme?
So I can tell you give you a very broad idea of what it is that you would expect sort of as a student in life sciences. So in our first year, we teach some really fundamental things that you need to know as a life science student. These are basic skills which underpin the discipline. And so you will be learning alongside other students doing other programs. And so that will really enhance your learning and your thought. And you'll get a great broad base of the discipline with some aspects which are specific to what you're doing. But what is crucial is you then build on these skills as you go through the years, and you become more and more specialist, so that by the time you reach third year, we really expect you to have very specialist knowledge within your area, something which is enhanced by what you would do maybe as your dissertation project, where you really become an expert in the subject that you are working on for your dissertation. And but what you're doing is you're using all of the skills which you have learned throughout your time at Lincoln when you're doing this. So that's sort of giving the example of how you would focus from the research sense, but you also would learn an awful lot of really important, really translatable skills, which could go into very specific jobs related to your degree, or maybe more general jobs. So it's things about how to synthesize information. So how do you take this really massive amount of information you know and synthesize it into clear, comprehensible arguments? How do you present that information in a clear way, whether that's written in an essay or whether that is actually presenting it towards to people? And we will help teach you all of those skills, so that by the time you graduate, you will not only have very specific skills to your program, you will also have all these general skills that you would need, which are crucial for working life. And so that is the aim. We have to try and balance those two things.
Thank you, Anna. We're getting a bit short of time actually on this our life sciences segment. So I'm gonna ask a question of Ellie now. Ellie, if a student doesn't meet our standard entry qualifications for a variety of different reasons, how can the foundation year support them in their journey?
Thanks, Libby. Yeah, so the SFY curriculum has been written as a bespoke year to the Lincoln programmes, and it's been co-written with academics from the School of Life Sciences. So we prepare students with the skills and the subject knowledge that we know will help them to thrive in year 1 and beyond. So students take, along with biology modules, they broaden their skill base with chemistry and maths modules that have been specifically written to equip life science students with the maths and digital skills that will help them to succeed. And we really firmly believe that developing students' academic toolkits is vital to their progress. So all year 0 students take a study skills module. That helps them to develop their presentation skills, scientific writing, critical analysis, referencing, digital capabilities, revision, exam skills, self-reflection. And we aim to really produce independent, resilient learners, and they thrive when they get to year 1. Our focus on high quality teaching has been recognised, and we've won the Team Teaching Award for the last 2 years at the university, and we've recently won the highly competitive National Advanced HE Award for collaborative teaching excellence.
Thank you, Ellie. That's brilliant. So if you come to Lincoln and study on our foundation year, you'll be taught by award-winning teachers, national award-winning teachers who are absolutely fabulous. So thank you. I think one last question we've probably got time for. The people listening and watching us now will be at the start of just thinking about applying to university and what that journey is going to be like. Can you describe to them from today, hopefully they've been inspired by what you've told them and they put in their application to the University of Lincoln, and we'd be very, very pleased to receive those applications. What's the next step of the journey and what's going to happen? Who wants to take that one?
Okay, I'll pick it up initially. So once you've applied to us, well, firstly, that's great, and the university will not let you go. We will carry on communicating with you. So you will get invited to an offer holder day. So for those of you that have made that commitment so far to the university, we'd like to show you a bit more of it. So this is where we invite you to the university again.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, yes, government, da-di-da-di-da. We invite you to the university again, hopefully, and we show you a bit more of what we do. So it's not like the open day. We're not pitching the university at you. We're trying to show you how you would learn if you came to see us. So we'll take you round and do some practicals with you that would be slightly cut down versions of practicals you do if you were here. So if you come to me, you'll be chopping up fish and looking at parasites, for example. And there are all sorts of other practicals in molecular biology, in biomedicine, in cognition, all sorts of fantastic things. So you can see exactly how you'd learn if you came here. And on top of that, it gives you a chance to revisit things like accommodation and student services. And actually, for many people who haven't been to an open day, it's your first chance to see the university. Plus, you get the chance to talk to all of my fantastic colleagues and convince you that actually Lincoln is the place you want to be. So I'll just put a personal thing on that. I came to Lincoln 4 years ago, not knowing anything about it, and I absolutely love it. I'm completely convinced by the university, and we'd really, really love to see you here.
And I think the rest of us
Thank you, Colin. Brilliant. Thank you. And we're very mindful of that transition, even after they've accepted a place and they've taken their A-levels, and that we look after them at that stage as well, don't we? Keep in touch with our incoming students and make sure that transition's as smooth as possible. If anyone wants to tell me a little bit about what's going on now for our incoming students, for instance, I think we've got like 2 minutes.
I'm happy to say a few bits. So we've already started making communications with you. They've got a specific site called Getting Started where you get lots of information about the courses, see pictures of us, get opportunities if you need to contact us, ask questions. We're already arranging for week 0, so we're in our Freshers Week where you'll have opportunities to meet the course. You'll also have an opportunity where you have some form of team building amongst us all. At the moment, that's the Joyous Zoom quiz adapted with a special flair for all our courses. But lots of events like this, we want to, even with everything that's gone on this year, even with that, it's amazing that students have put their trust in us, and we will be repaying this in every way possible. We have adapted and we will change and we will make this work. And I think that's what we're doing, is doing lots of things both digitally and in person to really to get to know everyone, to say hello, to meet you all, and to get that connection, to get you to all speak to each other, to really embrace that and take those first steps on the course. And even if there are any wobbles, any problems, we're all here to support you. You have tutors, we have amazing student support. If you need it, amazing mental health support, amazing wellbeing support. And so effectively from this point, this is where you come to us, you've put your trust in us, and I guarantee you will be repaying that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Matt. That's a really good place to finish, actually, isn't it? So thank you ever so much, all of you. That is all we have time for in this particular session. So thank you for your insights and your enthusiasm. That's great. Now, if anyone has any more questions about studying in any of those life sciences areas that we've touched on, or indeed studying on the Science Foundation year, please do head over to Unibuddy, where we've got people waiting to answer your questions and help you with anything that you might want to know the answer to. So please do. And on the comments section, you will see the link there, so you can easily get over there. So thank you all ever so much. I'm going to say goodbye to our wonderful life sciences colleagues now, and I'll see you around, everybody. But thanks so much.
Nice to meet you all across virtually.
Bye. See you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to our virtual open day on the College of Science Roundtable discussion. My name is Professor Libby John, and I'm Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science. I hope you're really enjoying your day so far, and you've found out lots of useful information about the University of Lincoln. If you're waiting to hear information about a specific programme or subject, you can find the schedule of our roundtable discussions on our Virtual Open Day website. But now let me introduce the School of Maths and Physics. The school offers BSc and integrated master's programmes in maths and physics, as well as several joint degrees with other schools such as computer science and philosophy. Research forms a key part of all their programmes, and they closely collaborate with industrial partners and top research institutions to ensure that the curriculum is current. The school offers a supportive and nurturing teaching environment where students are a real priority. We're really proud of maths at Lincoln, as they recently ranked 4th overall in the whole country in the Guardian University Guide for 2021. And in this session, you'll hear from different members of academic staff and one of our former students who are here to tell you more about studying within the School of Maths and Physics at Lincoln. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, colleagues. And Sorcha, nice to see you all. Now, Andre, Fabienne, Kerry and Sorcha, welcome. And please, can you quickly tell us who you are and how you're linked to the School of Maths and Physics?
Hello, I'm Andres Velendowski. I'm professor and head of School of Mathematics and Physics, and I founded this school 6 years ago.
I'm Fabien Paillusson. I'm a senior lecturer, program leader, and also recently became deputy school director of teaching and learning in the School of Math and Physics.
Hi, I'm Kerry Blagden. I run the Science Foundation year for the College of Science, and obviously including the School of Maths and Physics.
Hi, I'm Sorcha. I was part of the first cohort that graduated from physics, and I graduated last year in 2019.
Well, thank you all and welcome, and a particular welcome to Sorcha. Thank you for coming back and joining us today. It's really nice to see one of our former students. It's really good. So let's talk about maths and physics at Lincoln. First of all, can you tell us a bit about what students might expect from studying maths or physics, and specifically what it's like to study them at Lincoln?
I think I pick up on that. As we observe our world nowadays, we see it changing, and sometimes it's changing so fast that it's difficult to design a degree which would last for decades. In Lincoln, we try to solve this problem by providing a balance of various subjects and skills. What it means in practice, that in mathematics, we have a balance between pure mathematics and applied mathematics, which also includes industrial mathematics. And in physics, this is balanced between experimental physics, theoretical physics, and also for elements with industrial physics. All this accompanied with various soft skills, such as presentation skills, teamwork, which is extremely important in the modern world, as well as working with various projects, and accompanied also with computational skills. All this serves like a toolbox, which allows our graduates to design their future career in direction they like most.
Okay, thank you, Andre. So it sounds like it's a real modern, forward-looking set of programs that you offer your students, very much with their final destination in mind, so equipping them for that real world out there. which is fabulous. Thank you. What will students achieve from studying a maths or physics degree? And can you tell us something about their potential career prospects?
I think I also will continue on that. As we now observe with our several already graduating cohorts that made in Lincoln math and physics degrees, they are successful, they work. We are very happy to see our graduates in future employment or further training. In physics, for instance, all 100% of our graduates find their jobs or further training within 6 months after graduation. And that ranges from technological industries, small or large, and big names, I can mention Siemens or BAE, and to some maybe not so obvious destinations like NHS, which also requires people with top numerical skills, as graduates in mathematics and physics obviously are. Some of our graduates choose jobs as school teachers. And here we're also extremely proud to see that our graduates becoming teachers in famous schools, including school where Isaac Newton was a student himself. And also, as part of their future career, students choose further training in master degrees or even research doctorate degrees in the top universities, such as University of Cambridge or University of Liverpool, where, for instance, Saoirse is continuing for her doctorate degree, and she will hopefully tell us a bit more today.
Okay, that sounds fabulous. Saoirse, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
So I am currently just coming to the end of my first year of my PhD studies at the University of Liverpool. I am under the Department of Electrical Engineering and Electronics, but I work specifically with quantum dots, which is a subject that I was first introduced to in my undergraduate studies through our project work. So yeah, it all follows on eventually.
Fab. Can you? Is it possible to tell those of us who don't know what a quantum dot is? Quickly.
Yeah, so quantum dots are very, 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 very small particles. They are not quite crystals, but they're not quite individual molecules. They kind of inhabit that space in between. And when you get down to that sort of scale, there are a number of different properties that are associated with them. So one that everyone's heard of is probably nanoparticle silver, which has great antibacterial properties that are used a lot in plasters these days. So it's that sort of area.
Sounds really interesting. Thanks, Saoirse. So that leads me on to my next question very nicely. So people associate maths and physics with complex mathematical problems and various discoveries which have advanced our technology and civilization on this planet and beyond, of course. Can students in Lincoln take part in similar discoveries, and in what fields are you working?
Yeah, so I'm going to pick on this one. So yeah, research is a very specific project or endeavor in general, and it necessitates a unique set of skills. And in the school, the way we do it, as Andre kind of hinted to earlier, that we set up regular projects basically in year 1, in year 2, and in year 3, so that our students basically start getting familiar with what research is about. So usually in year 1, it's like mostly literature review in group. Then in year 2, this is more research work where students can do, if they want, a small experiment, or they can do a simulation. So they do something, but again, as a group. And then they emancipate themselves in year 3, and then they have like a year-long project that they work on individually. So this is how we prepare students to become, let's say, to have a research mindset. But then what we do as well is that since we are all research active in the school, then from year 2 onwards, we propose students to do placement with us during the summer. This can be as a discretion of the school, depending on the budget available, but also we can benefit from the EUROS scheme, which is a university scheme, which allows students to get a small stipend and basically do research with us. The kind of research that students would do with us then would be ranging from nanomaterials. Sorsha is a good example of this. So looking at the very micro scale, looking at what really experiments actually tell us about the world. If you hear about electronic microscopy, for example, what do you really see? So this is a kind of things where you need both an appreciation of experimental techniques and the theory of the experiment itself to know what it is that you are seeing. And also astrophysics, foundational questions in physics, and things more kind of tangible like granular materials and things like this. So that this is topic-wise. And just to finish in terms of what students can gain out of it, well, they do contribute to research, and we do hope that down the road, they are going to appear in publications coming in 1 or 2 year time. But also we give them the opportunity. So some students actually did participate to the British Undergraduate Research Conference, actually not last year, obviously, not in 2020, but in 2019 and in 2018. So this is something, obviously, which is unique when it comes to added value for undergrad experience, and obviously we strive to continue bringing these opportunities for our students.
That sounds really fabulous. Like, students get a lot out of being in a research active department. That's really great. Can you give me an example of one of those projects that students were presenting, for example? Or
so one was actually with me, so that was on granular materials, and so essentially understanding the statistical features of arrangement of grains and so on. So it's at the boundary between mathematics and physics, and so the student actually develops a whole new piece of code for simulation, which I'm using and continuing to use for my research, and he went on to present this. That was at Sheffield. And then there were other, undergraduate students there and presenting posters and talks. So that was also an opportunity for this student to decide, okay, I want to do research. And at the moment, this student is continuing on to a PhD as well. So
wow, so that student's research is being used by you and has actually made a difference to science.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's making, I suppose.
Okay. So Sorsha, thank you so much for being here. Can I get a student perspective from you? You're a former student, as you said. You were one of the first cohort. Can you give us a bit of your own personal take on the student experience in the School of Maths and Physics?
So, I left the department last year, almost unwillingly. They do have to kick a lot of us out, it must be said. I could not have wished for a better student experience than the one that I had at Lincoln University. The small size of our school might seem to some as a disadvantage, but is actually a huge, huge advantage. There is absolutely no room for anybody ever to get lost or to fall behind. And that is so super important when it comes to a university setting. It was fantastic. I still speak to a lot of the lecturers on a regular basis. And, all of us are really in close contact. The way that the lectures are delivered, the way that the modules are taught are excellent. It's just great, really. I probably could talk for an awful lot longer, but it's fantastic. And as somebody who might find the transition from like a school setting to a university setting quite difficult, at Lincoln that transition was so easy. I don't even think about it. It was wonderful.
Brilliant. That was going to be my next question. So you've led on there really, really nicely. What was it about their support for your transition that was so positive and seamless?
I think the main thing to consider is the fact that there is an understanding that not everybody will come from having done the same curriculums or the same studies. So there should absolutely not be a worry that you might be missing a particular skill set. And there should not be a concern that you might be disadvantaged compared to the other students. So much time is taken in making sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone is at the same level, whether it be in the modules themselves with the consistency of the teaching, or even I've had several of our lecturers take time out and lunch times to come and help me with bits that I didn't understand because maybe I didn't have that grounding before. And that was just so important and so key to me, you know, even finishing the degree at times. And I do think that that is quite unique to Lincoln. You know, you don't always get that level of care elsewhere. So it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, brilliant.
And I think actually you're right, Saoirse, and that's reflected in that fabulous Guardian League table results, where the success of our students is really noted there. So that's brilliant, and the fact that we get students from a wide variety of backgrounds. Yeah, so thank you. That's great. So I'm going to ask a question about, I'm going to bring Kerry in next. So if students perhaps don't meet our usual entry standards, there is the option to do the Science Foundation year, the national award-winning Science Foundation year, I should say. We're very proud of our Science Foundation team. And can you tell us a bit about how foundation year students are supported to develop the skills they'll need to do well in future years of their degree, Kerry?
Right, obviously the Science Foundation year are year zero, so we are a transition between the previous environment and year one. So what we've done to support with that is we're very much about linkage between what went before and what's coming. So for example, they have two tutors. They have a transition tutor within my core team who's there to look after their academic and pastoral needs. But we've also got a link tutor who actually sits in the school, who's fabulous. They let us know about events like guest lectures or the society events that are happening. And they do a really, really good job at ensuring the students are sort of well embedded as they're with us. In fact, in semester B, they actually have teaching by the School of Maths and Physics. I'll come back to that at a later date. Okay, so basically, we have a bespoke curriculum as well. So the support is in with what we're delivering to them. The School of Maths and Physics were heavily involved with the setting up of the course in 2017. And we changed the curriculum to support and underpin year one all the time. Okay, so yes, and we also within the modules, we set modules and pathways according to which schools they're going to, but they all take part in a study skills module, which aims to give them a toolkit of like skills that they would require to be able to move forward. You know, how to write an essay, how to do referencing, and how to stand up and talk science or maths, be able to present. So we do try and support the students moving forward, and we change the curriculum for the study skills actually, depending on student feedback every year. So we tweak it year on year to support the students.
Brilliant, absolutely fab. So that transition from year 0 or 1 to year 3 or 4, what's that journey like, and what skills and experience will they gain along the way?
So I think
do you want me to start off with year 0?
Yeah, I'll let you start, Kerry.
Okay, right. Well, first of all, if they join me, they basically run through year 0, and if they attain the progression standards in the modules, they'll move smoothly into year 1, where they'll join the remainder of year 1, and obviously someone else to go with this.
So through year 1, it's basically like the starter course. Everybody is given all of the tools that you will need to kind of progress with the rest of the degree. One of the things that sets our school apart is that maths and physics are incredibly closely linked. So for being a physics graduate, I have an incredibly high level of maths understanding that I know is quite specific to our course. And also that kind of intermeshing shows you how interlinked the two subjects really are, and that really when you get down to it, those boundaries are quite blurred anyhow. So that's really kind of highlighted for us in year 1. Throughout years 2 and 3 and 4, really, you've moved definitely towards your specific speciality, I suppose, but you still never really leave that link behind. I mean, an excellent example that's for me is even as a physics student, we were doing financial kinetics in our 4th year, which is a study of the economy, which is incredibly maths heavy, but also uses so many physical principles that, you know, it wasn't alien to us in any sense of the word. And it steadily ramps up as you go. So you look at the titles of the 3rd and 4th year modules and you might get a little bit scared or a little bit intimidated. But by the time you get there, they're so built on what you've already know and what you already learned that it's kind of just the next natural step almost. And, you know, with so much help and attention along the way, it would be very, very hard to not, you know, to find that transition difficult. But it definitely builds on your interests as well. You soon realize that you need a lot of the stuff that might seem boring, or maybe you've come across it before in 1st year. But, you know, if you don't have a good understanding of that, you can't do the fun stuff that comes later. And so it's, you know, that progression is super important. And it's very, very well paced here as well. There's just enough to keep you on your toes whilst absolutely never being out of reach, which is very important.
Perfect. It sounds like a really well thought out curriculum to me, very well planned and managed. So Fabienne, can you tell us a bit about the support available to students along that journey?
Yes, of course. So, I mean, students at the University of Lincoln in general, they have support at different levels. So I guess it's worth mentioning the university level on the one hand. So students who may have academic difficulties or may want a different source material for their modules, then of course they will find this kind of material in the library simply. We've got a wide variety of textbooks from different authors on the same subject. So, you know, if you don't like this author, you can find another one. It's not the end of the world, and we do encourage this because that's how you actually study. And then, interestingly, there is also a dedicated team in the library that is for helping in mathematics and statistics. So this is actually really great. And of course, there is also beyond the academic aspect, there is a social and well-being aspect. So we do have support at the Wellbeing Center for mental health and all the kind of issues that students may have, and also student union does participate to make sure students do have a social life and do not feel isolated. So that's at the university level. At the school level, what we do, and this is very much encouraged by the university, is to associate a personal tutor to every single student, and of course that makes sure that they can serve as a point of contact, first point of contact, indeed, to you know, for any problem, from academic problem, maybe social, maybe administrative issues, so that students, as Sorsha pointed out, are not lost at any point in their experience. Now, of course, some students may not engage with the course for various reasons. That can be academic anxiety, social anxiety, or other forms of anxiety. And so in this case, the school here has put in place a set of regular assignments, especially in year one. And for us, this is very useful because this is making us aware of students who are not engaging, because if they do not attend, they could still submit coursework, which shows at least engagement. But at least if they don't submit coursework, then this enables us to flag, okay, there is a problem here, we need to sort it out. And we can do that basically within 1 month or a month and a half, essentially. And then in that case, the problem would be brought up to senior tutors who are like higher up tutors in the school, and then they will try to arrange for the students how the school can support them as much as they can. So that's essentially how we frame the support in the school and within the support system in the university, and we obviously you know, strive to improve it you know, every single year, and then that's it really.
Brilliant, thank you, Fabienne. Kerry, can I bring you back in, please? Is that same support available to foundation year students? And can you tell us a bit about who teaches the foundation year modules, and do they have labs and practical sessions, that sort of thing?
Okay, yes, we do have bags of support for the students. We have like academic drop-ins. They've got access to absolutely everything that everybody else has. They're a classic University of Lincoln student, just starting in year 0 instead of starting in year 1. They're on campus. They're in accommodation. They're having just the same fun as everybody else. So yes. In terms of who teaches them, I have a core team. As you say, I was quite shy here. They are award-winning, national award winners. We have also picked up every teaching award since we've arrived from university, Team Teaching Award. So, you know, they're a cracking team. I love my team, actually, and I can't wait for the students to meet them. So we have bags of support. They're taught by my core team. And also in semester B, we're really lucky that the school runs a module specifically to help the students in bed called Foundation Year Maths and Physics. And the link tutors involved in that and other modules, they get to meet the academics in the school. So yes, they have exactly sort of the same experience as everybody else and have access to all the different wonderful facilities that are available at the university.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kerry. Now, it's not all about learning, is it, being at university? So I wonder, Saoirse, whether there were any social elements available, both in the university in general, but particularly in your school. How did you settle in there?
So the university has a very wide range of social opportunities. Obviously, there's the typical societies and, you know, your students' union, just like any other university. Our school does have its own subject-specific society. Unfortunately, I was a little late to the party on that one. However, I hear great things. They do wonderful things every year. Lots of kind of trips and events, but even just kind of afternoons out and stuff, and study sessions, I believe, as well. Is a big thing for them, which would have been very helpful. But more than that, it's also kind of the informal side away from the students' union. So our school does a lot of get-togethers. We have a lot of evenings together. We're a big fan of quizzes, and they happen with a severe amount of competitiveness every single year. And it's that whole kind of, it's the informal as well as the formal side of things, which has been just, you know, so nice. Obviously, you get to chat with everybody all the time. You get to see them a lot. And being a small cohort means that you do learn everyone's names and you know when you spot them on campus. And it's, really, really conducive to making sure that you always have a support group around you, which is very helpful.
Fabulous. Andre, would you like to comment on how you support students' social integration into the school? Because I know you put great store on helping people to fit in.
Yeah, we try to embed it as a social hinted within various activities during academic year. That could be even some puzzles, solving some puzzles where academics and students sit together and try to solve these puzzles together. And it's kind of, it makes this barrier between academics and students not really there. It's more like a teamwork. We also have a kind of standard Christmas party, and one of maybe our highlights, every year we have end of year party in various locations. And this year we could not have it physically, but still we had it virtually, and it was so pleasing to see people come in. And also our alumni came to this virtual party to talk to our current students and enlighten their experience, even in this quite kind of challenging times.
Brilliant, which says lots about the culture of your school, I think, and how welcoming it is. So that's fabulous. Now, our guests will be right at the start of their university journey. They'll be thinking about which universities to apply to. And of course, we really hope they're going to consider us and the University of Lincoln. And hopefully what we've said makes the School of Maths and Physics sound appealing to them. Now, if they do apply, what kind of response will they get from the university? What next steps will there be? And how will we take them on that journey right through to when they start as beginning undergraduates? Andre, would you like to have a...
So when then students apply, they of course receive a response from university with offers, which are all done in collaboration with two of our school admission tutors who look on if there are any questions on qualifications, and it's very fast reply. They can get our admission tutors a phone call. When students are admitted and they come, of course, they first time what happens, there is so-called welcome week. And that welcome week is a mixture of various activities when, for instance, they met their personal tutor, this point of contact, which will guide them through the years. There are also fun activities in that week, so quizzes to break ice, so to say, because it's transition to new life, in fact. They immediately, already in welcome week, will see representative from their national learning societies, like Institute of Mathematics and its applications, Institute of Physics. And then they already, from a very, very first week, will kind of have a glimpse of their future career, which they have after graduation.
Brilliant. And of course, if they do apply and we make them an offer, then we will invite them to Lincoln, government guidelines permitting. And we would hope to welcome them to find out more about us. So this isn't the end of their application journey. There'll be lots of contact between now and when that welcome week starts, and lots of support for them to see how they could fit in. And of course, this year, sadly, we're doing an online welcome week, but still lots of those same activities will be incorporated, and hopefully that students will really enjoy that and get to feel that they're starting to be part of the University of Lincoln. Well, I think we're out of time for the School of Maths and Physics. So thank you so much to Andre, Fabienne, Kerry and Sorsha. Really good of you to give up your time and come and talk to our potential applicants. I hope for our guests, the conversation has answered some of your questions about the school and what it's like to study there. I certainly feel like I've got a good sense of it being a really nice school to work and study in. Very supportive has been a really key message coming through, as well as fabulous research happening. But I'm sure you've got more questions. And so if you have more questions, please head over to Unibuddy. The link has been put in the comments section for you. When you go over to Unibuddy, you'll find an opportunity to ask questions of staff or from the Maths and Physics team. So please do that if you've got further questions. Meanwhile, thank you very much to our guests for listening, and thanks once again to my colleagues for taking part. Thank you all. Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending our virtual open day, and welcome to the College of Science Roundtable discussion. My name's Professor Libby John. I'm head of the College of Science and a Pro-Vice Chancellor here at the University of Lincoln. I hope you're really enjoying your day so far and you found out lots about the university and are getting the information you need to make up your mind about which universities to apply for. If you're waiting for information about a specific programme or subject, you can find the roundtable discussion schedule on our virtual open day website. But now I'm going to introduce the School of Geography. The school offers both a BSc in Physical Geography and a BA in Human Geography, as well as an integrated master's programme. They have an integrated approach that aims to provide the intellectual tools necessary to understand the relationship between human society and its environment and the issues that challenge our future. In the session just coming up, you will hear from some members of the academic staff currently in the school and one of our students who are here to tell you more about studying geography here at the University of Lincoln.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hi, Addy, Teresa and Sophie. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please, can you each introduce yourselves and tell us who you are and what your role is at the university? Teresa, shall we start with you?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Libby. Very nice to see you, and thank you.
Could you introduce yourself, Addy? Addy, could you tell us who you are and what your job is?
Yes, thank you very much, Libby. I'm Dr. Adegbola Ojo, and I'm the School of Geography Director, Teaching and Learning, and I'm also the BA Program Leader.
Thank you. Teresa, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, hello, everybody. My name's Teresa Mercer, and I'm a Senior Lecturer in Biogeography and Planetary Health.
Hi. And Sophie, great to have a student with us. Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about you, what stage you're at and what degree programme you're on?
Yes, so I'm Sophie and I'm a student ambassador and the School of Geography rep. I'm going into my third year and I'm on the physical side of geography.
Brilliant. Thank you all. So welcome to all of you. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about the programmes you offer and how they differ? Addy, over to you. Maybe Addy, can you hear us?
Thank you very much, Libby. I'm sorry, it seems there's a little bit of a delay, but I'll go on. We offer one geography and two programs. One geography because we recognize that
Yeah, we can't hear you, Addy. So I'm going to ask if it's all right. Well, maybe Addy, if you just pop out and pop back in. Teresa, would you mind picking up on that question?
Yeah, of course. So as Addy was saying, we focus on one geography. So across both programs and in all modules, there's a focus on the theme of a safe and healthy inhabited Earth, which you talked about a little bit at the start, Libby. So this idea of planetary health and whole systems thinking, so looking at the environment as a whole and society, and how we can fix some of the challenges that we see. Our teaching tends to be research-led, so staff come from a very wide variety of backgrounds, different expertise, but we're very sort of complementary as well across all modules, and we all sort of work towards this overarching theme across both programs and within all the modules. There is a focus on interdisciplinarity, and this is where this idea of sort of one geography comes into play. So across all 3 years, there's sort of core modules. Within year 1, all the modules are sort of core or compulsory modules. And the idea here is to give all students the same skill sets to start with and an understanding of both human and physical geography. So just to give you some examples of what we cover in the first year, some of the modules are looking at sustainable environments and ecosystems, environmental data, monitoring analysis, Earth observation, and GIS. So you get this idea that these are very valuable and important skills sort of to have at the very beginning of the degree module, of the degree program. And then from sort of year 2, students have the option of selecting optional modules along with some core ones. So you have core modules throughout, this idea of optional modules, and you can choose them from within your program, so whether that's BA or BSc, or you can also have the option of choosing them across modules as well if you know they interest you. So just to give you a flavour of what we cover in the second year, in the sort of BA program, we look at cultural and historical geography, development studies in the global south, political and social geography, urban and regional economic geography, and then there's a placement. For the BSc program, there's climate and hydrology, river and coastal systems, biogeography and planetary health, which is my module, one of my favourites, of course, and quaternary science. So there's a lot of choice, and within the third year you get even broader choice. So I teach environmental management in the third year, but there are so many great modules across both programs that you can choose from, whether you do physical or human geography. And in terms of, we basically say that students come out as Lincoln geographers as well. It's a term we use because part of our program is to make sure that students also get to know their local environment, so Lincoln, and also the larger area of Lincolnshire as a whole as well. So you get an understanding of sort of the regional area that you are based in while you're studying as well.
Which is really interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, a lot of the things you talked about there are really important current issues. Can you just say a little bit about how they impact in Lincolnshire and why Lincolnshire is a good environment in which to do a geography degree?
Of course, there's so many different sort of overarching themes that we find around Lincolnshire. And to give an example, in the very first year, all students go on a compulsory field trip, which is called Sustainable Lincolnshire. So where we're based, we've got the town of Lincoln itself. We take students to the coastal areas as well. So one particular favourite destination we go to is Skegness, where students can learn about tourism there, issues with deprivation. They can also look at, so one of my particular favourites is we take students to a place called Willow Tree Fen, which is run by Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust, and Gibraltar Point as well. So in those sort of areas, for example, I run vegetation surveys as well in the coastal areas, so students can get understanding of what sort of species are found there. We look at coastal management as well, so this idea of climate change, potential issues with sea level rise, loss of land in these sort of areas. And we also look at sort of agriculture as well, and obviously agriculture being a very important part of Lincolnshire, the wider Lincolnshire area in terms of the economy, and it being largely rural.
And of course, agriculture in Lincolnshire is essential for the rest of the country as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I just have to put a bit of a caveat in there. Of course, all field trips that we offer to students are subject to government guidelines at the time that we offer them. So we would intend to offer that trip to Skegness when it's possible and safe to do so, and all the other field trips that geographers might get. So what will students achieve from studying a human geography or a physical geography degree? And welcome back, Addy, by the way. You're looking much clearer now. We can see you as a whole person. So I have good hope. Stick with us this time.
Yes.
Good.
I am hopeful as well.
So can you tell us what students achieve from studying a human or a physical geography degree, and what career prospects they have?
Okay, thank you, Libby. I think what it is that we prepare our students to become 21st century ready geographers who can function effectively in the public sector, who are able to function in the private sector or in the voluntary sector, and if they wish to remain in the academia, they will also be equipped with those necessary skills and aptitudes. I think essentially, as a very distinct school, there are about 6 core masteries that our students would have acquired by the time they complete their program. They would have acquired writing skills, analysis and problem solving skills, problem definition skills, listening skills, problem solving skills, public speaking skills as well. And this puts them in a very good position to work in any of those sectors I mentioned earlier, pursuing careers like cartography, pursuing careers like surveyors, environmental analysts, working in the public health sector as well, working with DEFRA, as nature conservation officers, and all sorts of disciplines. What also is interesting is that by the time students come on the program, then they discover that there are allied disciplines, allied disciplinary areas. So for instance, working with the police as crime analysts, working in the health sectors as, public health experts. And of course, some of our students go on to work in secondary school as well. So quite a lot of career prospects.
Okay, thank you. It's always a surprise, isn't it, to those of us who aren't geographers, how essential geographers are in so many walks of life. Absolutely, their skill sets, the things they learn on geography degrees, absolutely central to, running ambulance services, for instance, things that you don't normally think of as geography. So it's a really key discipline, and especially in the world that we now live in. It couldn't be more essential for students to pick up these skills and run with them. So you've told me a little bit, Teresa, about what's special about Lincolnshire and the Lincoln degree. Can you tell us a bit more about facilities and those field trips we hope to run, subject to government guidelines? Because it's not just going to Skegness, is it? And what it will feel like on the ground at Lincoln, what students have access to.
Yeah, of course. So we have got fantastic facilities. We have our own sort of computer lab, and it's tailored with specific software that students will need throughout their degree. So we've got, it's got GIS, statistical software. Students can sort of learn modelling, Earth observation, and important mapping skills. We also have our own laboratory where frequently it's used for looking at sort of soil, water, and sediment analyses. So it's used by staff, students. We can use other teaching and research laboratories across campus as well. So it's very much a focus on sort of hands-on learning where possible. Students have opportunities to get involved in real research as well. So there's this central sort of EUROS scheme where students can get involved with academics and sort of do research over summer, over a summer placement through the third year dissertations, and they contribute as well through teaching assessments. So a lot of the assessments we provide sort of feed back into sort of real world applications as well, which is great. For field trips, I mentioned the Sustainable Lincolnshire one, which is usually the first year field week. In the second year, there's a compulsory field trip subject to a government guidance, which is to Crete. And the theme of that one is looking at social and environmental hazards. And in the third year, there's an optional field trip to either Crete, to Chile or the Netherlands within the third year. And to be honest, most modules actually have an element of field trips within them, whether it's human or physical. I know some of the human geography modules, they have things like walking tours, physical geography ones. For example, my second year biogeography and planetary health one, we go to an urban woodland and look at the management management that's taking place there, and students get a chance to monitor and evaluate the progress of that. And what I'd say is unique, and what I'm sure Addie will agree with me here, what we're really proud of is our course is accredited by the Royal Geographical Society, but it's student endorsed as well, which is so important to us. We had this year the National Student Survey in Human Geography, which is Addie's area. They basically scored 100%. And from the physical geography, our course was awarded Course of the Year just in the last year, and that was sort of student nominated based on teaching quality, feedback and organisation of the course. So it's great that the course is accredited. We've got fantastic facilities. We offer these field trips, obviously subject to government guidance. And it's great. We've got an active and engaged student body. Sophie's a prime example of this, sort of getting the Geography Society up and running again, having ambassadors and sort of a mentorship scheme. So it's really fantastic as a member of staff to see how engaged the student body is. And we enjoy engaging with students. It's what me and Addie are there for. It's what we enjoy doing, you know, getting to know students and seeing them thrive across the degree programmes.
And you have a placements module, don't you?
Yes, we have a placements module as well. So you can pick to do placements in the second year and third year. So second year, you basically can learn the ropes in whatever organisation you choose. It can be of your choosing or from a suite of ones that we already have engagement with. And in the third year, the placement almost goes a step further. So you're there in almost a consultancy role, and the organisation sort of will come to the student for advice and say, well, how do you think we're performing well? Can you give us any input into how we're doing, that sort of thing? So it's really good. And again, what it sort of reiterates what Addie was saying, it's the skills that you need for your career post-degree.
Thank you. I think it's time to bring Sophie in now. Sophie's been nodding along, but let's hear what it's really like as a student perspective, Sophie. Can you share your student experience in the school?
Yeah, so like right from the start, Lincoln's always been like really fantastic, welcoming, which is like one of the main reasons I picked it over other ones. There's so many opportunities as well to get involved with. So obviously I'm student ambassador, course rep, as well as the research projects with which Teresa mentioned. So I was awarded one of those Euros projects. And then also the campaigns network, there's something others to get involved with. So you can get involved with like environmental, well-being, and just anything that kind of takes your fancy. And also you mentioned the Geography Society being reset up, which we're really excited for. But yeah, I don't think there's ever been a day where I've had nothing to do. So it's really good.
Can you tell us what you did your Euros project on, just to give us a flavour of what that means?
Yeah, so it's an award, like you get some money to research something over a 4-week period. So I did mine on microplastic contamination in the River Witham, and looking into like the environmental impacts.
And what did you find?
A lot of plastic. It was not good. No, it definitely was not nice.
Oh, what a shame. Oh, well, but you're armed with the information, and when we have the information, we can start to do something about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, great. And what's the social life like in the school?
It's actually really good. Like everyone gets on, and that's another reason I implemented the mentor scheme, because I thought it's just going to connect all the years together as well, which we do connect, but it's much better to have that connection on a outside level than just in the school.
Yes. And what's the mentor scheme?
It's basically where second and third years, there is a guide for first years to kind of help them with the transitions between uni and just any general questions and feedback they might have. Brilliant.
That sounds fab. Really, really useful. Brings me very nicely to my next question for you. So when you started at Lincoln, how did you find that transition from A-level to being a degree student?
Yeah, so I took a gap year, so the transition was a little bit different for me. So I'd been out of education for a year. So I thought it was going to be really, really hard coming from not being in education at all. But actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought like all the staff were really helpful and always there if like you needed to ask a question. And they always find time to go through something if you're confused or don't get it. And they always have their office hours, which really helped. And all the library resources, etc., are just something that just eases you into it as well.
Brilliant. So can someone talk us through the student journey from year 1 to year 3 or 4? How do you build their degree? What do they learn along the way? And what skills and experience do they get?
Okay, thank you, Libby. I'll talk through that, you know, that journey. It's a very interesting journey where our students kind of learn a lot of dynamic things. Firstly, in the first year, our students are introduced to the conceptual foundations in geography. So the models that they take help them to understand the conceptual foundations. How do they think like geographers? How do geographers see the world? How do geographers understand the world around them? How do geographers conceive and define ideas through the lens of geographical thought and theory? So it gives them a very gentle introduction into how to conceptualize issues around it. And by the time the students get to the second year, they then become exposed to the techniques. So this becomes very interesting. They then become exposed to, you know, the problem methodological approaches to actually solving things, solving problems like a geographer. How do they adopt these techniques within the domains of geography, or how do they take techniques from allied geographical disciplines like ecology, criminology, or like sociology, and how do they take those techniques and blend them for problem solving within the domains of geography? So that's what the sort of models in the second year look like. And by the time we get to the third year, then they begin to do those sort of applications, and then they begin to apply those techniques. You know, for instance, they get into the third year and they write their dissertations, and they're applying those techniques that they've been able to acquire through that journey. I should also say that, you know, all through each year, students will be exposed to real-world examples, you know, real-world issues, real-world case studies, which helps to bring the subject to life in their minds. And there's sufficient, like Teresa was saying, all this is also bolstered with sufficient outdoor learning, because we believe this also helps to kind of to bring the subject to life. In terms of the technical skills they acquire along the way, spatial analytical skills, modeling skills, GIS and remote sensing, field research techniques, you know, for data collection and analysis. And there are a wide range of transferable skills as well, you know, along the way. Time management, how to organize themselves, how to reason through things. Networking, very, very essential. We teach our students how to network and how to make decisions and remain self-motivated along. So it's a very, very interesting journey, I think. You know, like Sophie was saying, there's never a dull moment studying geography.
It sounds like a really well-planned degree, well, 2 degree programs, really well thought out to support the students moving, because geography is an incredibly complex subject, but you take them along that journey to get them there in their final year. So thanks, Adi, that was really helpful. Teresa, can you explain a bit more about the support that's there to guide students along that journey and what that looks like from within the school?
Yeah, of course. So in terms of academic support, all students are allocated a personal tutor from the very start of their degree. And usually this tutor will see them all the way through to the end. And you're within a tutorial group usually, and sort of the purpose of this is sort of you have regular meetings across both semesters. You get a chance to learn key skills, and your tutor provides guidance and support. There's also one-to-one sessions with your personal tutor as well, in both semesters as well, and that's just a chance for you to talk about any issues you might have or any queries if you're not sure how something works in your degree, in the module, or at the university level. And as Sophie mentioned, all staff have dedicated office hours. So whether this is virtual, well, at the moment it's virtual, students can either email or contact their sort of tutors or module leaders on Microsoft Teams, for example. And all the staff in our department are approachable as well. And, we're all there to support students. So we're always happy to deal with any queries or issues that students might have right from the very beginning. In terms of learning resources, we've got a fantastic library, which has got so many different resources. We've got, at the moment, students making use of e-resources and slowly reopening. We have a subject-specific librarian as well that covers geography called Carol B. So she's there on hand specifically for geography students to sort of help them out if they've got any issues or queries. The library runs workshops related to key skills. So, for example, exam revision or dissertation workshops or sort of essay writing skills, for example. And they also have drop-in sessions and one-to-one sessions. They have MASH help, which is maths and stats help. So particularly with dissertation students, I found this service really, really useful, where students can basically contact the library, arrange these one-to-one sessions and get help with how to apply statistical analysis, for example, to the data that they collect during their dissertation project. So those are the sort of main learning resources to support students. And then, of course, we have the central support as well in terms of student support centre, student wellbeing centre, counselling and faith groups, and university health service as well. So as a whole, as a university, we're there to look after all our students, and within geography as well, obviously all us academics, we're here to support you on your journey through your geography degrees. So that's the main thing. We're here to look after you.
Okay, thank you. That sounds, there's a huge amount of support there, isn't there, for students? Yeah. And Sophie, are you able to say which aspects of that support have been particularly good for you during your journey so far?
Yeah, so personal tutors are definitely really, really useful, because even if it's just a quick question about something, they're always there on hand. But externally from the School of Geography, like the library and academic subject librarians are really useful. Like if you're just struggling to find a resource or something like a book that's not in the library, they will easily find it for you. And then also I found, particularly going into my third year, the Careers Centre has been very helpful, because they like read over your CVs and cover letters and help you with like job interview experience to get like your applications ready, especially as we have to apply kind of now. So it's very useful.
Brilliant. And so as you enter your final year, you must be thinking about your career, as you just said. Do you know where you're headed yet, or is that all to be decided?
There's a couple of graduate schemes I've got my eye on. One in particular I really want, but I'm not going to jinx it. But then I still feel that I might stay and do a master's, because I don't really want to leave.
Oh, well, that's lovely to hear, actually. That's a nice place to get to. And perhaps our academic colleagues could just mention what we offer in the way of master's programmes. Adi, would you like to pitch in there?
Yes, thank you. We do offer the MRes program, so a master's degree by research for students who want to continue to pursue a research degree. We also have a master's degree in water and planetary health, as well as an MGeog, a master's in geography, and also in the pipeline is the MA in development, in geography and development. So a wide range of master's degree covering both the physical and human arms of the.
Brilliant. So really great opportunities for students to stay with you if they've enjoyed it, as Sophie says she has. So that's a lovely way to end. Thank you, Sophie. Unfortunately, I think we're pretty well out of time, unless anyone wants to say any last few things. Adi, we just didn't, you just at the beginning, we were just describing the 2-degree programs, weren't we? I don't know if you want to recapitulate in the last minute what you would have said if we heard you.
No, that's fine. Sorry about that once again. So I was just saying that, you know, we offer one geography and 2 programs, and those 2 programs are very much interlinked. The BA program is designed to cover human geography related topics such as urban and rural geography, cultural geography, social geography, population geography, health geography, economic and historical geography, just to mention a few. So those are some of the things you'll get as a student on the BA program. On the BSc front, the BSc program, which talks much more to the physical geography side of things, you'll be studying things like hydrology, climatology, glaciology, things like geomorphology, biogeochemistry, soil science, wetland ecology. So students benefit from a wide range of flavor, wide range of modules that talk to these different disciplinary areas. The reason why we offer 1 geography, 2 programs is because we understand that real world problems are not necessarily compartmentalized into different disciplines. So we help our students prepare for the real world by understanding both sides of geography and obviously choosing that pathway that they want to go.
Thank you. We pretty well are out of time now. And so thank you to Adi, Teresa and Sophie. You've painted a really exciting picture of the School of Geography at the University of Lincoln, a great interdisciplinary place where students are really well supported on a well thought through journey, studying so many of the critical topics in today's world. So thank you to all 3 of you. And for our guests who are listening, I really hope this conversation has answered some of your questions. But I'm sure there are more questions always that you'll want to ask the team before you decide whether to apply to Lincoln or not. So please head over to Unibuddy, which you can find via our website, or feel free to email the school directly with any questions you might have, and they'll be really, really pleased to hear from you. So thank you, everybody. That's the end of our School of Geography conversation. So thanks to colleagues and to Sophie, especially for coming in as a student. That's fabulous to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you to all of our guests who've attended this afternoon. I really do hope we've answered some of your questions on the 4 sets of programs that we've talked about in chemistry, life sciences, maths and physics and geography. And giving you an idea of our values at Lincoln, how we support our students, and the really exciting current programs that we're offering. Please do feel free to contact staff in any of the schools that we have here at Lincoln. And you can find all their contact details on our website. Meanwhile, I hope you really enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and goodbye for now.